Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I am super excited to finally share this with you. This is the premiere of my very first webcomic video style. Just a quick note before we start. Everything you see here, the story, the art, the characters, is 100% original work created by me, Fried Rice Essence, with the help of AI. It's been a passion project, and I really hope you enjoy it. If you like this kind of content, please hit that like button and subscribe to support independent webcomic. It really helps me out. But without further ado, here is Chapter 1. The first rays of dawn crept through the blinds, painting stripes of light across Leo Cardin's face. He didn't stir. The silence of the room was a heavy blanket, muffling the chirping of birds outside, a sound that used to bring a smile to his lips. Now it only served as a stark reminder of the emptiness that had settled in. He finally opened his eyes, the familiar posters on his wall, a vibrant anime cityscape, a band he'd loved with his dad, seemed to mock him with their cheerfulness. He sat up slowly, the springs of his bed groaning in protest. The room felt too big, too quiet. His gaze drifted to the empty desk, the one his mother had helped him assemble. He could almost see her, her gentle hands guiding his, a soft smile on her face as she told him to always keep his workspace tidy. He remembered the scent of her perfume, a delicate floral fragrance that used to fill the house. Now there was just the faint, sterile smell of cleaning products, an attempt to scrub away memories that clung stubbornly to every surface. His fingers traced the edge of his worn duvet. It was a silly thing, really, just a blanket. But it was the one his father had bought him for his 10th birthday, a ridiculously oversized superhero-themed monstrosity that Leo had initially pretended to hate. His dad had just laughed, ruffling his hair. "It'll keep you warm, champ, and who knows, maybe it'll give you superpowers." He'd slept under it every night since, even as he'd grown too old for superheroes. Now it just felt cold. A wave of memories washed over him, sharp and vivid. Summer barbecues in the backyard, the smell of charcoal, and his dad's famous grilled corn. Holiday dinners, the table groaning under the weight of his mother's cooking, laughter echoing through the house. Even mundane moments like watching movies on the couch, his dad's arm slung around his shoulders, his mom nestled beside him, her head on his shoulder. They were simple moments, ordinary moments, but they were everything. He closed his eyes, trying to recapture the feeling of their presence, the warmth of their love. But the harder he tried, the more elusive it became. The accident had stolen them away so suddenly, so brutally. One moment, they were waving goodbye, promising to be back before dinner. The next, the world had fractured, and he was left standing in the ruins. A single tear escaped, tracing a path down his cheek. Then another. Soon, he was sobbing, the sound raw and broken in the stillness of the room. He buried his face in his hands, the superhero duvet a flimsy shield against the crushing weight of his grief. The house, once a sanctuary filled with love and laughter, was now a tomb, echoing with the ghosts of happier times. He was utterly, irrevocably alone. The sadness was a physical ache in his chest, a cold emptiness that no amount of sunlight or memory could fill. He just wanted them back. He just wanted to hear his mother's gentle humming or his father's booming laugh one more time. But the silence was all that answered. The silence of the empty house was deafening, forcing Leo out into the city night. He wandered the busy streets, but the crowds only made him feel more alone. Tears blurred his vision as he drifted like a ghost under the neon lights, silently screaming at the heavens. Why? Why did God take them? He was just a kid with no talent, no gifts, and now, no guidance. The future loomed ahead of him, dark, uncertain, and terrifying. Lost in the labyrinth of his own grief, Leo stepped off the curb without looking. He never saw the blinding headlights until it was too late. Truck-kun roared out of the darkness with impossible speed, the impact instant and brutal. Leo crumbled to the wet asphalt, his vision fading. With his last ounce of strength, he whispered into the rain, "Mom, Dad, I'm coming to you now. We can be together again." As the crowd gathered in horror, screaming for help, A piercing white light descended from the heavens. It engulfed Leo in a flash, vanishing as quickly as it had appeared, leaving nothing behind but the falling rain. As the blinding incandescence faded, surrendering to the void, a solitary star ignited against the obsidian canvas of the cosmos. It burned with such ferocity that the surrounding constellations seemed to dim in reverence, a beacon eclipsing the galaxy itself. Does this radiant birth mark the final silence for Leo Cardin? His existence was once a tapestry woven with the golden threads of familial warmth and unblemished joy, only to unravel, in these final moments, into a fray of bitterness and cold regret. A breathtaking new horizon unfurled, revealing a realm straight out of legend. Golden sunlight spilled across a sprawling valley, illuminating a patchwork of emerald farmlands and a magnificent walled city anchored in the distance. High above, the silhouette of a dragon carved through the clouds, marking this unmistakably as a world of magic. In the quiet shade of the foreground woods, completely unaware of the majesty before him, Leo Cardin lay slumped against a tree, deep in slumber. Consciousness returned to Leo in a slow, aching wave. His eyelids fluttered open, expecting the darkness of the void. But instead, he was greeted by a soft, luminescent blue glow. He scrambled back, his heart hammering against his ribs as he stared at the impossible object hovering inches from his nose. A translucent holographic status window. I'm not dead, he whispered, his voice trembling. He patted his chest, checking for wounds that weren't there. Where is this? The floating screen hummed faintly, displaying text in a crisp white font. It wasn't just random data, it was him. Name, Leo Cardin. Below that was a list that looked like it belonged in a video game. Basic magic, basic healing, basic combat, basic crafting, and basic farming. Are these my talents? He murmured, confusing mixing with awe. His eyes caught the final line, which pulsed with a mysterious rhythm. Special? Unknown. Before he could dwell on it, a rustle of leaves broke his concentration. Leo tore his gaze from the screen and looked around. He was surrounded by towering, ancient trees and vibrant greenery. He strained his eyes toward the horizon, but there were no rooftops, no power lines, and no signs of civilization, only the endless, wild embrace of a deep forest. Sunlight fractured through the canopy, dappling the forest floor as Leo ventured deeper into the woods. He flexed his hands, marveling at the strange, humming familiarity coursing through his muscles. It wasn't just knowledge, it was instinct. Basic combat. It feels like I've spent years in a dojo, he thought, testing the fluid motion of his stride. Farming, crafting, the blueprints are etched into my mind, as clear as a memory. He paused, tilting his head back to look at the patches of blue sky peeking through the leaves. Thank you, Mom, Dad, he whispered, his voice catching slightly. I know you're watching. Please, just keep watching as I start this new adventure. Stepping into a sun-drenched clearing where the grass swayed, Leo stopped. He raised his index finger, the movement deliberate. Let's see if this is real, he thought, his heart hammering against his ribs. Let's test magic first. He narrowed his eyes, focusing every ounce of his will into a single point on his fingertip. He imagined heat. He imagined light. With a soft whoosh, the air shimmered, and a vibrant tongue of crimson fire flickered into existence, dancing atop his finger like a living thing. Wow, the word escaped him as a breathy laugh. It actually worked. I can cast magic, and I don't feel any burning sensation on my finger. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, the corners of Leo's mouth curled upward. The crushing weight on his chest began to dissolve, replaced by the warmth of the flame and the thrill of the unknown. At Leo's command, the small flame didn't just fade, it snuffed out instantly, leaving only a wisp of gray smoke curling into the sky. But that wasn't enough. Adrenaline surging, Leo widened his stance and thrust his palm forward, digging deep into that well of power within him. Let's see what I'm really capable of, he thought, grinning. The air around his hand began to warp and shimmer, before a roaring inferno erupted, engulfing his entire fist in blinding orange light. All right, time to test my limits. Taking a sharp breath, he roared, "Fireball!" The magic responded violently. A spiraling, scorching sphere tore from his grasp, shrieking through the air like a missile. It streaked toward the horizon, leaving a trail of scorched wind and thunder in its wake. And so, the journey into this new world has officially begun. But this is just the prologue to a much larger adventure. If you enjoyed the intro chapter 1, please leave a like to support the channel, Fried Rice Essence. To join us for the next leg of the journey, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Chapter 2 drops right here in just a few days, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Thanks for watching, adventurers. See you again soon.